Welcome again, everyone. It's me, Nick Michalak, and the stellar Steve Frazier.
Well, hello. It's been a while.
It's been a little while, and we're capping off the original Romero Dead trilogy. Not the last one we're doing in the entire franchise, but the night, dawn, day type of thing. We're capping off with Day of the Dead today.
Yeah, it's this one's interesting.
You know more about this one than I do because you had the Blu-ray. I just watched the thing for the first time, so
yeah, and I don't really know all that much, but I mean,
you're more familiar with it than I am for a longer period. So anyway, guys, we're watching off the Screen Factory disc, so it's HD. So sync up your copy, get your subtitles turned on, and we'll get going with the countdown to sync up. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
I will say, the first time I watched this movie, I absolutely hated it. And then, every time I've watched it afterward, it's gotten more enjoyable.
It's grown on you a little bit.
A little bit.
I can see that, because obviously I just watched it again for the first time, and...
You didn't love
it. Going with the preconception of the whole thing, knowing that it's a lot slower paced, it's a little bit more... It's a little more cult favorite instead of like a washover of like everyone's like Dawn's a classic, Night's a classic. This one, not as much kind of overall love for it. It's a little bit more.
I love the cinematography of this shot, by the way. Like she's in close up and the calendar is so far away and isolated until now. Go ahead.
But just like the first two are so just like rock solid, like almost instant classic films. This one, it didn't take off the box office. Not in the U.S. anyway. It went off better internationally, but the U.S. it just kind of tanked.
Well, I feel like internationally, that's a very famous shot right there of the hands through the wall. I feel like internationally, in places like Italy, like they are well known for slow-paced, slow-burn horror.
Yeah.
And so this movie was probably right up their alley.
Yeah. Also, the big thing is, this one comes out, I think it was July. Let me double check. I think it was July of 85 here. Yeah, July of 85, and a couple weeks later, Return of the Living Dead comes out, which is just a far more beloved film.
Yeah, and I don't know how successful that was right away either, but it, I don't want to say it was a parody film, but it kind of fell along that satire, genre. And despite the fact that it's horror comedy, it's like so good. And this one is trying to be serious.
Yeah.
And falls flat. So I don't know if the lesson is don't take yourself too seriously.
Well, Return of the Living Dead was $3 million budget, then it returned over $14 million. Meanwhile, Day of the Dead was about the same budget, but only garnered by about $5 million domestically.
Right.
Everything else, it got $34 million worldwide, but it was all just the international markets picking up the whole thing of it. And Romero's original idea was way bigger. He wanted to do a lot more stuff, but the fact is between... I think it was more the fact that he wanted to maintain a lot of the more graphic elements and push it, because this thing got released unrated. Which there are a lot of particular horror films in the 80s got that, especially Savini's follow-up to this thing, Chainsaw 2. And that didn't do terribly well either, because there's just too many narrow avenues at the point in time to really promote things if you're not going to get it run through the MPA system. Because certain publications or certain TV networks won't advertise it, certain cinemas won't run it.
Right. I was going to say, it's kind of like the debate now. They... Like, the next rating beyond R was X, which people kind of just assume meant pornographic.
Yeah.
Even though it meant, beyond R.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's NC-17, and I know firsthand that exhibitors see a NC-17... and they just won't run it in their cinema.
It's just too taboo.
And it could be for sex, it could be for violence, it could be for whatever.
It's a stigma on it. It's not really just the nature of it. I mean, there's plenty of films that get released. A random horror film gets released unrated on DVD or something else like that. Oh, it's perfectly fine. You could still run that, but in fact, now it's labeled with this
Look at
kinda,
that, the crabs.
This sort of rating that's like,
that's a
no one
fun
really
shot.
wants it because it's too restrictive, and because if R-rated film, you can still take your younger kid and bring them into the theater. NC-17 is like, no, not at all, period.
Right.
You can't. But
yeah,
it's
adults,
just
literally adults only.
Yeah, it's all just preconceptions and stigmas and stuff like that. So, but Romero was just trying to, like, he wanted to make a bigger film, but because he wanted to maintain this level of gore and stuff like that. And
I mean, look at this; it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the Savini's come along. Savini's the king right now, isn't he?
Savini, right?
85.
Savini is like, of course, there's what's his name, Baker.
Rick Baker.
Rick Baker.
Yeah.
Who is the other king, yeah. But Savini is like
the Gore king.
The Gore king.
Yeah, after Dawn, Friday the 13th, Maniac, Burning, Friday Part 4.
And then, of course, his work on Creepshow.
Yeah.
And there was a little guy who happened to be hanging around the set named Greg Nicotero.
Who has an on-screen role in this one.
Who became, like the protege of Tom Savini.
Yeah.
And
he's the king.
Right. Both Nicotero and Howard Berger work on this movie.
Yeah.
And, like, this is almost like the mark of delineation, right? Savini is the king and continues to be whatever. But after this, Nicotero and Berger say, well, we can do that.
Yeah.
And they go on, along with their friend with
Robert
Kurtzman, and they form K&B. And
they just take the whole industry by storm.
Right, and their work, for example, K&B did things like Misery.
Yeah.
Where Tom Savini, I don't think would be associated with a Misery kind of movie.
Not particularly.
Like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, K&B might have done Dances with Wolves. Like, they do all kinds of different effects.
Yeah, they're not pigeonholed.
Right. And I feel like that's why they're more successful, honestly.
Yeah.
But, as evidenced by Nicotero's...
I think that was him.
That was him there?
I think so.
As evidenced by Nicotero's beginnings here, that, with the zombie genre, then parlays perfectly into his creation of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
It looks like him.
Yeah. He hasn't worn his hair that short since 85.
Right. That's why I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's a fellow long hair like me.
Yeah, that's definitely him.
I love a good Jamaican.
I think it's okay. I started hearing this guy's accent. It's like, this ain't a real accent, man.
Oh, no, that...
I could pick it up immediately, like, no, this guy's... He ain't telling me. And then I started looking up videos like actual Jamaicans, like, giving me, like, acting lessons, how to do the dialect and the speech and stuff like that. It's like, even Romero doesn't even know how to write the dialect.
Right.
He doesn't know how to write the slang to make it sound authentic. It's just whatever. So.
Yeah, it's definitely like acting class 101 dialect.
Yeah. This
but that's
ain't
fine.
Advanced accents.
It's fine.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it just kept picking up on me because it's got so much dialogue in the film. It's just like, I mean, not like it adds to anything in the entire film. He just decided, Romero just said, I just want a guy with this accent. He doesn't really play with the guy's, like, cultural background into the guy's story or anything. It's just there.
Right. It could literally be cut and paste with anybody anywhere. It could be you in that room.
Yeah.
I know that, prior to us sitting down today, you watched it recently and were kind of commenting socially about some of the overacting. And
we're going to get there in a minute or two.
But I feel like even that scene right there, the so fucking what or whatever he said, was like, that doesn't seem real.
Yeah, the film starts feeling... I mean, it's too early to really comment on it, but there is certain things that just... even though Dawn had that kind of comic booky style because of the makeup and everything, the acting still felt grounded. It still felt relatable. Still felt like real people in a situation. This one starts overblowing it.
Yeah, that accent.
Yeah, he's from Detroit.
Well, as we sit here today, I have been to the great country of Jamaica 5 times.
Oh, yes. Beautiful country.
It is gorgeous. A lot of poverty, but absolutely gorgeous, lush countryside. Trees, mountains, whatever. Anyway, the best coffee in the goddamn world. But I can tell you that sounds like a put-on accent.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
There's something cool about a real Jamaican accent.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so smooth.
Oh, yeah.
And
Slight
slangy. It's
slight sing-songy to
yeah,
it.
a little bit.
Has a certain ebb and flow cadence to it.
Right.
That's very relaxing and reassuring.
Agreed. And and this definitely sounds not like that.
Yeah.
And while we've been talking about that, I've also really not been paying attention to what's happening. It has been probably 5 years or so since I've watched this. Well, I don't know. I didn't buy the DVD or the Blu-ray right when it came out. I bought it a little bit later on.
Yeah, you have no slipcover.
That's correct, which is the true mark of any Scream Factory collector.
Yeah.
And I think it was more of a complete the collection kind of thing than it was like, I need to own this movie. You know, unlike some of the others where you just can't wait to get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Not that Scream Factory is putting it out, but very soon, as we record this, I'll be getting my hands on the Cujo 4K, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
But that's one that's like, ooh, I need to have it, not just like I want to collect it.
Yeah. Yeah, Scream Factory did a new HE transfer on this, but of course the disc is maybe like 8-9 years old now, so I could definitely benefit from a 4K cleanup.
Well, Scream Factory in the last, say, 2 years has done almost nothing except double dip on their existing catalog and put out 4K versions.
Yeah.
So I don't know how hard it would be for them to get the licensing back for this.
Yeah.
But like this shot right here,
or at least somebody, I don't know, Vinegar Syndrome,
right?
Whomever's got it.
Like this shot looks pretty good.
And there's some shots that look really nice. Other ones look really, really rough in places. So it could definitely use a little bit more of just a cleanup process.
So is the idea that they're gonna herd the undead down down in this
cavernous area region?
Yeah, and then murder them all? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Just like for the things I will comment on as we get closer to actual plot points. These ones like they're just hurting them just for the sake of having test subjects.
Oh, right. Because there's like the lab thing. Yeah. Right, they're trying to collect.
Yeah.
Ugh, this guy's entertaining.
He kept reminding me, he feels like he should be John Goodman in this movie.
A little bit.
Especially when he puts on the sunglasses, man, he was like spitting image like frickin' Big Lebowski got John Goodman.
John Goodman, wonderful in the great Arachnophobia, one of my favorite horror comedies. Why is everybody yelling?
Yeah, that's one of the criticisms. A lot of critics says like, man, everyone just shouting at everyone the whole film. It's all just
like
it's just a loud dialogue film.
The soldiers, John Goodman and then this other guy, not him.
Yeah.
who reminds me of somebody, and I can't think of it, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll come to me.
Sure.
But this guy, Goodman, and the other guy, the Latino man, I guess I understand they're army soldiers. That is kind of the way that those folks behave. They're
to a certain degree.
Rebel rousing, and
a little bit.
They're
march in line,
right?
Kind of proud sort of thing, but
right? Very vulgar in their, to
a degree. Just
I think that guy there's a fireman. I think. One of my criticisms has always been, even of the makeup, is that everyone just kind of, like, the coloring on the skin is very weird. Some of them are blue.
And it still looks a little comic booky.
Yeah, and maybe that's the idea.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are just blatantly green.
I mean, it definitely is more fun. There's more texture to it than last time. The last time just felt like they put a pancake mat on everyone and just slapped it on there. This one feels there's
layers.
There's layers, there's details.
Right.
You got the gross teeth and everything. Everything just... Savini's come along a lot further. He's probably got more resources to work with. He's got more experience behind him.
Well, I'll say right now, I mean, we're only, say, 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
And that opening sequence, that opening guy with the mouth that was basically gone, and the jaw and the tongue, is a better effect than I think anything that we've seen here in the tunnel.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a kind of a ratio of screen time to...
Right.
Like, here we have got all these extras, so we're not going to put as much emphasis on it.
Right.
Because in 1985, there was no high def.
Right,
so if you're sitting in a dark cinema, it's like,
Yeah.
well, it probably looked a lot better in a dark cinema than it does, in 2023.
Yeah.
High def.
Yeah.
Like, that was some of the magic of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Was that you could hide things because it wasn't high def.
Yeah. Especially when you get old TV series remastered in HD now, like, man, all the little production little gaffes and all the little tricks they use, they kind of block off weird things or tape marks on the ground. It's all blatantly
visible,
obvious now.
Right. And, like, it really kind of ruins the magic.
A little bit.
Love that they just have a skeleton there for reference. Like, what good does that do? And I did always think it was interesting that the zombies, or whatever they call them in this, are never violent towards each other.
Yeah.
It's only the living.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's ever really explained, like why there's a camaraderie and a kinship amongst the dead.
Right.
Was this some sort of foreshadowing or something that she was in this room with the calendar? Because she was dreaming.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Has she been here before? Like, were they? You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I'm guessing.
Obviously, how would she...
I don't know what they were doing outside the compound in the helicopter to begin with.
It was never really explained.
No.
But it would only make sense that she had been here prior to, because...
Yeah.
How would she know?
But yeah, they established in good time that they've been here for a good long while.
And what is it that she stuck him with?
Probably a sedative, because they say he's been up for like 24 hours.
Oh,
he's
right.
not acting very well.
Okay.
But why he would like slap that thing away, I have no idea.
Yeah, the motives and intentions are not clearly defined.
Yeah. See, look, doesn't he look like Goodman, like right there?
Right, he really does. And he looks like somebody, too, and I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Everybody looks like somebody.
Everyone's a low-budget version of somebody bigger.
We got the knockoff, you know? This movie, I've always just felt it was, like, boring.
Well, my first main criticism of the whole thing is okay.
Her outfit? Good God.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
But it was more the fact, okay, you want to show progression. The deterioration of the bonds of humanity and the things breaking apart, as we kind of seen in the previous two films. This one starts out, everyone's already at odds. Everyone's already cynical. Everyone's already at each other's throats. There's not really much of a progression. It just gets worse from where it already is.
Well, maybe that's the point, in that, like in Night of, it's the beginning, the genesis of the whole thing. And in Dawn, which possibly happens immediately after the events of, we don't know. Mm-hmm. But what is that, Ralph beer? Is that what that said?
Yeah.
Is that
King
a real
Ralph? King Ralph.
Well, there you go, John Goodman, King Ralph. I saw that in the movie theater. What's that guy that was in Platoon? That's this guy. Not Willem Dafoe, but the other one.
Sean Penn?
No. Why can't I think of his name?
That's the wrong movie. Thinking Casualty of War.
Yeah, Casualties of War is a great movie. Tom Berenger.
Berenger.
Yeah. Young Tom Berenger.
I could kind of see it.
Anyway, so maybe the point, like during Dawn, like society's already gone to hell, and it's like kind of a survival of the fittest, like in a microcosm.
Once the bikers break in, everything's kind of gone right down the shitter.
Right, it's like a microcosm of society. Mm-hmm. And then this one, to your point, already starts at desolation.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the progression, I guess. Fuck you, sir, is great. And do these people work for the government? Is that the idea? Are they defectors from the government?
Well, she says at a certain point in time that this is supposed to be a civilian operation, and the military is just here to kind of like just be a presence. So they're supposed to be serving the citizen population. The scientists are pretty much the ones who are supposed to be in control of this whole thing, but military is exerting authority because the folks are going to stop them. They're the ones with the guns.
Well,
and there's no other authority here to do anything.
Now, I do kind of like the idea that the scientists, maybe not this mad doctor, but the idea, there he is.
Yeah.
That's a very famous guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a famous guy, it's a famous character, I guess is what I mean. It's interesting that, like, the next progression is now we're studying them.
Yeah.
We're taking them apart to figure out what is and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Did this come out before or after Back to the Future?
After.
I mean, obviously,
a couple weeks after.
Obviously, they were like shot around the same time.
Back to the Future came out like July 4th.
Okay, and this was mid-July?
Yeah.
Well, there again is another reason why, maybe this one suffered, because you've got
and Doc Brown out there who's a lot more
charismatic.
He's a more layered character. This one just very one-note, goofy character.
Right, and also I guess what I meant was there's that sub-level, but just the idea that you've got a blockbuster hit.
Yeah.
That by now, 2 weeks later, word of mouth has said, hey, you got to go check out this time travel movie. Right. It's big budget. It's got all these great cast.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. It's swallowing a box office is what you're getting at.
Right. And so, I don't remember what else came out possibly that same week, but even if it was a double dip, future and something else, therein lies a compounding effect of, the family entertainment budget only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's July, 30th, and
about to find out.
You've only, you're like, well, I finally have a day I can go see a movie.
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome opened the week before this. Silverado. Joe Dante Film Explorers. There's this then. There's a re-release of E.T. this same freaking week.
Okay. The same week as this?
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, I feel like, the entertainment dollar only goes so far. And if you had a choice, all of those other things could be more enticing.
Yeah. Then, start of the next month, you got Fright Night that opens. You've got a Sesame Street movie that opens.
Follow That Bird?
Weird, yeah.
Follow That Bird is the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater.
Weird Science opens. Real Genius. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, there's just a lot of hits on this thing. Summer Rental.
God, I love Summer Rental. I looked like John Candy in Summer Rental 2 weeks ago. I was bright red.
Then you got Return of the Living Dead. So it's like, there's probably at least 4 or 5 particular hits that are swirling around in the weeks before and after this. They're probably a lot more appealing.
Maybe...
There are a lot more entertaining films I can see repeat business on. This one, I don't feel like there's a lot of... Certainly a lot of people love this film in retrospect, but I can't feel like at the time someone's going to go see this like 3 or 4 times with a big crowd or bring a lot of people with them.
Right.
Maybe one or two friends, whatnot, will go see it, but there's a lot of family films coming out this time that would bring a lot more, like 4 or 5 people in the entire family to see everything.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, gross.
Unbelievable gore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a Savini just jerk off.
Yeah.
How can we make it more and more and more?
I know how much of the $3.5 million dollar budget is just his effects.
Could be. I remember the night that I hung out with Greg Nicotero for a while.
Oh, yeah.
He was telling us about a textbook, and I think I mentioned this before.
Yeah, something.
It's like a textbook of... I don't know if it was like anatomy or if it was accidents. It was like it was a medical book that revolved around catastrophic accidents or whatever. So, it would have a photo of somebody with a broken leg.
Yeah. Reference material for them.
Right. And they used that and and kind of recreate. He told me the name of it, and I wanted to buy it, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So if I ever meet him again, I'm going to ask him, hey, what was the name of that book so I can buy it?
He'll be around again.
I'm sure he will. Maybe he'll remember that I bought him a glass of wine. Well, then he turned around and bought me a glass of wine, so whatever, I don't know.
Any which way. There he is. Good close-up.
So I'm thinking that around this time was around the time that they were like studying these medical books of, things gone wrong to try to learn what, the insides look like correctly.
Yeah.
Because, that rib cage and everything, like that was pretty anatomically correct.
Yeah.
At least from what I understand about anatomy. To your point, it does feel like overacting. It almost feels like a high school play or something, where Everyone's trying to impress their friends in the audience.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Like that guy.
Yeah. Pilato I like.
Like he's crazy.
Yeah.
But...
Joe Pilato I like because they give him the right dialogue for it. Because he's written as being a crazy son of a bitch.
Well, this guy here just threatened to kill her.
Yeah. He's written as a psychopath. And he plays it... He plays it up to the point where it's believable. This guy is threatening. But he's also entertaining. He gets right on that line between the two of them. Where there is overacting, but it plays towards the entertainment value of the film for me. Everyone else is just shouting dialogue.
Right. And here he's claiming that he's taken over.
Yeah.
Like, these two are just literally...
No jokers. Yeah.
Military cast-offs.
Yeah.
And here, like...
Yeah.
We've got a little...
serious.
We've actually got a little tension.
Yeah, yeah.
For the first time in the movie, it feels like there's...
It's not just
and
one against one. It's like, this guy's just... If you don't follow in step what I'm going to do here, man, fuck you. I'm going to blow your fucking head off. Well, I'm in charge.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the first actual tension and peril we feel in this movie is between all of the living people.
Yeah.
And has nothing to do with the dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Good score on this point, too. Playing it.
Like, he's commandeered the operation.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is okay. Now, that would be a good midpoint. Even though we're only 32 minutes in.
Yeah, we're not even...
We're a third.
We're shy of a third. It's an hour 40, so...
I like they've got the old school maps on the...
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
Do you think this is a commentary on Romero's part about the government being too involved in non-government things?
It might be. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the mid-'80s Reagan politics type of thing in that regard. Didn't really say much about it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, Iran-Contra and various other random things, but
right.
I don't know how that kind of works into government intruding on the lives of the civilians.
It might just be that for the sake of a plot point as opposed to his personal beliefs.
It feels more like Reagan was kind of like loosening restrictions on things so people could be less oversight and stuff like that. That's more the Republican type of thing. Loosen things so the corporations can get the tax breaks and random different things. That's the line movie. That's the line of the movie there.
That is really great. He really does kind of have that mad scientist look about him.
I feel he's a little too kooky. He's played too much. Not that the character comes off as makes you want to laugh at or anything, but it just feels like he's playing it too much like he's a cartoon character. The uppity sort of
holier than thou kind of
thing, and then overly expressive type of things he's doing. It's a little, as I said in the previous two, everyone felt very grounded. This one feels it's too overwrought in that regard. Everyone's trying to push it too far over the edge, and not in a way that feels like it's tapping into tensions and stress. It just feels like everyone's just trying to just make everything bigger for the sake of being bigger.
even though she has no clue what he's talking about, she's clearly just...
She's seen stuff, was like, she probably thinks he's just as mad as everyone else thinks he is.
We did kind of gloss over some of the other things in that scene, like where he had it dissected all the way to just a brain stem. Like, what a great visual that was. And such a great Savini Nicotero.
Yeah.
How much fun would it have been to be Greg Nicotero on this movie?
Oh, yeah.
Where you get to, like, act and then...
Watch the master at work.
Somebody says cut, and then you go over and, like, play with some goo.
Yeah.
And also learn from Savini and Romero, who's your hero.
Yeah.
And it's like... like, what a life.
Yeah.
That he... I don't want to say lucked into it, but he made his own destiny.
Oh, yeah.
And... just the coolest guy ever.
And from first-hand experience, the nicest guy you could possibly meet.
Well, yes, he is just a wonderful, wonderful person. And to see the look on his face when, Jaws is his favorite movie.
Sure, yeah.
And Richard Dreyfuss was standing 10 feet away from us. And, just the admiration on his face for Richard Dreyfuss. And yep, I will forever love Greg Nicotero from a personal level, even though he has no clue who the hell I am.
He'll remember you. I'm sure he will.
He might. He'll remember my friend's wife is what he'll remember. Not to say that he was infidelitous in any way, because he loves his wife dearly.
Sure.
But she was clearly the attention getter of our group.
I like his entire look. The two guns,
the double gun
belt, man. He looks like he's fucking Rambo.
Or Peter Criss from 1976.
Okay. This is a long scene, man.
Well, yeah, again, it's a slow burn, right?
Yeah.
We get it. You're taking over.
Yeah.
It's your way or the highway. And by the highway, he means shot. He's got a good head of hair there.
Yeah.
I like the little swoop there in the front. He looks like he's from Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Axel Foley's neighbor if there ever was one. This doctor really, I feel like, is the one that feels out of place.
The look's not good. I'd get rid of the beard.
But leave the mustache?
Trim out the mustache a little bit, maybe.
It looks very unruly.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the confines of the environment.
He's taking the time to shave the rest of it. He can get some clippers.
You're right.
Either go all beard or no beard.
Don't half beard. He probably can't grow it in that little patch there.
He's not.
It's trying to be a goatee, but it's not quite.
Nice.
Not all the way there.
We got enough beards over here. You don't need another one.
And Sarah Jessica Parker's not even in this movie. I still don't understand what this guy's role is. And why is his... Like, that looks great. I love her hallucinations. Without them, we would have lost two key scenes. That one and the opening one. But obviously she would have had to have been here prior to this.
Yeah,
you know?
so, yeah.
But that just begs the question, what the hell were they all doing outside looking around anyway?
Right. What was the purpose?
It's not like there's a need to go find zombies, because they're clearly everywhere.
They got plenty of them. It's not like they're going to stick them in the chopper with them.
Right. Is she supposed to be our main character in this?
I think it's supposed to be, yeah.
But again, I guess one of the reasons that this movie doesn't hold up the way that the other two do is that it's all about human conflict.
Yeah.
You know, and infighting and and
there's not
civilians versus the army and and you're going to do it this way, and it's scientific experiments, and it's
well, the thing I was breaking down in my mind is like, okay, in Night and Dawn, those are situations the audience can really put themselves into.
Yes.
Being holed up in a farmhouse or being held up into a shopping mall and kind of dealing with the dynamics and seeing how things kind of deteriorate and how you deal with the situation. I can't throw myself into this situation of being held up in some underground bunker with a bunch of military people, being with a bunch of infighting. It's between the overcooked acting and the scenario overall, and the fact that we get some moments with these characters here and there that are showing a little camaraderie, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as layered or genuine as they were in the previous two films.
Agreed. Obviously the first one, there was camaraderie, but there was also conflict between them as to what's
ideologies,
the right,
philosophies of how to survive and everything.
Right, but
it came down to like the personality conflicts kind of driving the wedges instead of the ideas behind them, how they went about approaching each other as characters. And Dawn, everyone was very much on the same page, but as things fell apart and one person gets bit and then they start changing and it starts creating more emotional conflict, you get these little pieces of subtext and subtle layers and stuff like that. This one doesn't feel like it has any of those dimensions to the story.
And to your point, I've often claimed that the movies that I think are the best for me, horror movies anyway, are the ones where I feel like it could happen to me.
Right.
Things like The Strangers.
Yeah.
Like home invasion could happen to anybody.
Exactly.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Everybody goes to sleep in dreams.
Yeah.
It could happen to me.
Yeah.
Those are the movies I think are the scariest.
Yeah.
Do I think that there's a place where I could bury my cat and it would come back to life? No. That was just an entertaining story.
Yeah.
That one couldn't happen to me.
Right.
But it was a good telling of a story.
Yeah.
This, to your point, I feel like, A, isn't really plausible, and B, I cannot relate to any of these people.
No.
Except maybe this guy who has put together a porch setting.
Yeah.
And, wanting to feel like he's still living a life, even though he's down here.
Right.
Make a house a home kind of situation.
Yeah.
In his cable knit sweater. In Florida. Underground.
Yeah, because all the stuff above ground was shot in Florida, but all this stuff was shot in this sort of like underground, but it was like a document storage cavernous region or whatnot. They would store a lot of documents down here for preservation and everything, but it was cold, but it was also extremely humid, so it fucked with everything. It fucked with the equipment, it fucked with Savini's effects and his props and everything like that. It just created so many problems.
Yeah, people don't give temperature and, that kind of thing enough
moisture,
credit.
Yeah.
It ruins makeup, it ruins everything.
Yeah. You just can't get everything to adhere properly.
What's he drinking there? They have it kind of turned around. Can't tell.
Yeah.
That's a big pour, sir.
Oh yeah, there was one point in time, I think it was a fact much later on, but they were storing like actual like pig innards or something else like that for one of the big effects at the end of the film.
Okay.
Inside a fridge. Someone actually unplugged the fridge.
Oh,
and
God.
it started going bad.
And that goes
like
bad
ripe as hell.
in a hurry, by the way.
That's just bacteria.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that would smell like.
Oh.
It's like that pig in Elm Street. Was it 3? 4? 3 or 4. I don't remember.
I think it was Arquette walked in on it.
Oh, yep. And, in the one scene, the pig actually snarled because it was an animatronic, but in the other one, it was a real pig, and it was really decaying under the lights. And
how? Those lights are really... a lot better now when you got LED lights, but back then... Ooh, boy.
It just heats up in a hurry. Nobody smokes a pipe anymore. Oh. Have we talked about this? I feel like we have. We've done 150 of these.
My Bloody Valentine, the chief.
Oh, yeah.
Police. He was smoking one.
It's such a great look. I love the look of a pipe. I should just walk around with a pipe, even though I'm not smoking anything out of the pipe.
Yeah. With your vest on.
Yeah.
Make you look sophisticated.
Well, something's got to. He's got the sweater on over another shirt.
It's too much.
I mean, this gentleman's got to be warm.
He's supposed to be Jamaican.
And I was going to say, if he's from Jamaica...
He's supposed to be used to that.
Maybe that's the logic. He's used to being hot because he's from Jamaica. God, Jamaica is so great. I love Jamaica. And for the most part, everyone that I've encountered there they're just the sweetest
chill
people.
Folks.
Yeah, they're awesome. There is kind of that stigma of them being, very high on the marijuana.
Sure.
Which I don't know if that was like a Bob Marley thing or what, but maybe that's why they're so chill. Everyone's just high all the time. I don't know. But, yeah, some of the nicest people. No, Jesus with the curse. This is why, talking about a movie like this is difficult.
Yeah.
Because...
It's very slow moving. There's not a lot of visual interest on screen.
Right. And, you and I can talk about other things as we're sitting here. And by doing that, I've actually not really been paying attention to the dialogue. So, again, let's just talk about character development in... sitting here drinking our whiskey, and which she's put down half of that already, and she would be on the floor.
Yeah.
By the way,
I feel like a lot of this little philosophy stuff, whatnot, it felt better in Dawn. We were talking about when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. It feels a lot more, not like it's presented theatrically, but the ideas are more theatrical. It feels more. I don't know exactly what the word is, more ethereal in a certain way. It's a little bit more mythological.
Right.
This feels a little bit more kind of like just regular philosophy type of stuff. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it hits as well.
There's no action.
Right.
The best scene in this entire movie.
The thing is, what is the development of the plot at this point? There's not really anything happening. There's nothing progressing in the story. It's just... people have conflict, but that's already the status quo, this whole thing.
Right.
That was my main thing. It's
from the beginning.
You need a progression through the entire film. If everyone's just already at odds at the beginning of the film, where else is there to go except just amplify what's already there? There's nothing going on with the zombies because they're just background dressing for the entire story. So what really is what's the plot of the film? I don't know what the plot... I can't really tell you what the plot of the film is. They're just in the bunker trying to survive. There's not really an objective here. Because he's got a different idea of what to go about than everyone else here. And Captain Rose just wants to know what this guy's doing to help his status in life, and he's not doing anything to help anyone else. He's just doing this to satisfy his own scientific curiosities.
Yeah, it feels like the civilians are not really working for the better of the government.
Right.
and the government is not really working to assist the civilians.
Yeah.
And so even if they were to work together, the means and the ends don't get together anyway.
And my thing is, okay, well, it's interesting that he's going through the scientific process to find a way to domesticate them, but what are you going to do when you get up on the surface and there's 100,000 of these things? You're going to take 5-6 months to go through every single one of them to kind of train them?
Well, I think they're trying
to... It's not a pragmatic solution.
Well,
what Rhodes basically wants is a way to exterminate them. Give me a way to get rid of all of them and the problem. That's probably the most objective he has, but he never really kind of comes out exactly says that. He's just waiting for the doctor to give him a reason explain what he's doing. He won't explain it to anyone else, but these two people. He won't go to Rhodes because he knows Rhodes will probably blow him in the freaking head 10 seconds after he explains what he's been wasting his time on for months.
So, Rhodes wants... His objective is to find a way to kill them all.
Yeah, get rid of the problem.
So, why would he even be involved in this whole experiment thing when clearly he knows that the experiment is not designed to eliminate?
Yeah,
it's designed to, control the problem as opposed to reverse the problem.
I mean, the only loop about that whole thing is the fact,
there's a Salem's Lot by Stephen King.
Intriguing. But they say at the beginning of the whole film, well, the guy who was the previous commander, he died. So now Captain Rhodes just took over. But, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like they would be sent down here with a specific mission, but it seems like no one is really doing anything except this one guy. Anyone else who's involved with this sort of scientific civilian team isn't really working towards anything. So it just seems like there's a lot of people just standing around doing nothing.
And arguing with each other.
One guy makes all the progress.
Right. And by one guy, you mean the crazy doctor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Bub is probably the most famous character in this movie.
Yeah. It's probably the most fascinating performance overall.
Well, yeah, and he does the convention circuit.
Sure.
That looks like a glove, even though it's not.
A little bit.
It's not, but...
Yeah.
Well, maybe, like a real thin latex.
Yeah.
So, if the entirety of this movie were actually about them studying,
right,
then that may have been a better avenue.
If you took it along the way of they're trying to find a way to tame them and try and control them, but if you then kind of go off to a certain pivot point where it's realize
that's not going to work.
No longer... Humanity's no longer the dominant species. We're the endangered species, and the dead are just going to take over the entire planet. We'd have no purpose here anymore. That'd feel a lot more strongly thematically in line with the progression we've had before, but this one just feels like it has ideas, it has threads, it just doesn't feel like it manifests into a plot that feels like it's going anywhere. Because you can almost pretty much see exactly where the entire film's going to go just based on the personality conflicts. Rhodes isn't going to just turn a 180 and he's going to be enlightened now and he's going to be agreeable and stuff like that. He's going to be the same character from the first minute to the last minute.
And in a way they all are.
Yeah.
Which means that there's no theme to the movie.
There's no arc.
Right. Which is one of the...
Bub is the one who has an arc, really. He's the one who progresses to some degree. Becomes more of a sentient sort of idea in the entire film.
I guess the only other arc is Rhodes going from tyrant to realizing that he can't be in control of everything.
Yeah.
And just kind of succumbing to...
the madness.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not a very good story.
Right. Right.
At least that's not 100 minutes worth.
That just happens because the one guy ends up letting all the zombies in. If that doesn't happen, then we still maintain the status quo and doesn't go anywhere.
Right. It's
not something that it just event that befalls him, and he just has no choice because there's like 300 of these things running amok all over the place.
I do like this scene here where he refuses to salute the zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting. Like, this is an interesting story.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of conflict you could have really come up with if this was the whole story.
Yeah.
Looking at it from a scientific point of view, like, wow, that's exciting. Yeah. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
And you're right, he's the one that is acting the best out of everybody.
Yeah.
Love the makeup on him. Not so much the face, but the eyes.
Yeah.
Because
the teeth.
Right. You can't fake eyes.
No.
You know, eyes are real.
Yeah.
What are you... Again, why are we even having this discussion?
Right.
Like, if you don't like it, Captain, just leave. Like, what's stopping these guys from just walking out of the operation?
Get on the fact they only got one chopper pilot, which is kind of a stupid situation as it is.
Right, but like if they don't believe in what they're doing, why are they there?
Yeah.
Let the stupid.
Or if he's fed up with this guy, just blow his head off. Like he's threatened to do everyone else here.
Why not just let the civilians do their stupid experiment and you go off and be in your
whatever
army guy, be an army guy, whatever.
Yeah, just
there's so many things that are detracting from a good story.
Yeah.
He is overacting as well.
Yeah, there's a totally different way you could play that character and make him more similar to Rhodes. The fact that Rhodes is intimidating, he's menacing, he's a threat. There'd be a way to play the Doctor character where he's a little bit, definitely still being unhinged, but make him a little bit more dramatic overall. Just make him more grounded. Just make him a little more interesting instead of being kind of this one-note silly character in that regard.
To make it a little more believable.
Yeah.
That he's not crazy.
Right.
Like, clearly anybody would have to be crazy to do this.
Yeah.
But... Oh, no.
Oh, bye-bye, Nick Greggy. Oh. Bad ends.
Well, he's got other jobs to do.
He's got other jobs to do, and he gets a decent death sequence. He would have lived as a badge finder. I got bitten by a freaking zombie.
I thought he was the one that got shot, not the one.
I think he got bitten and shot.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it, Goodman.
Get Goodman. There he is, yeah.
Oh, he did get bit.
Yeah.
Aw. This is actually the first, like, good
piece of humanity we've seen.
Good scene.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the tyrant, sit down or I'll shoot you scene.
Yeah.
This fucking guy. Like, why is he even a part of this? Ow, that would kill a man.
Yeah.
She literally concussed him into unconsciousness.
Just cracked his fucking skull open, for crying out loud.
And now she's got a machete?
Yeah, she's just gonna, let's do an amputation. Hope that saves him.
I see. Well, it might. They don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Oof.
Ow. The bone.
Yeah.
The crunching. Yeah, you should have done that first, by the way.
Probably, yeah, because he's about to lose a couple pints.
Every second. I thought that was like your phone going off. It was actually the score. I heard the little ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
And it was like, I thought maybe that was like your ringtone.
No.
There you go. Cauterize the wound.
Yeah.
Oh my fuck! God damn!
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it would feel like to have your arm cut off, let alone then
cauterized.
The effects are great though.
Yeah.
Although your blood system works very fast.
Yeah.
I don't.
That took way too long, man.
Yeah, that was minutes, and I feel like you only have seconds.
Yeah. That heart is not that far away from that arm, man.
Right.
I think I got it in time.
Well, again, how about you secure him?
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yes.
Let's find out. Mm-hmm. But see, now we're going into revenge.
Yeah.
And again, this is more interesting than anything with the zombies.
Right. This is when the film starts picking up a little bit.
Actually, you shot one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Although, I mean, semantics, right?
Sure, yeah.
I also think it's bullshit, but I also don't think it's right to just execute him without waiting and seeing.
Quarantine the fucker.
How long is it really going to take? You know?
Right. It's an interesting thing that, okay, they have established that her and the amputee guy, they're involved to some degree, but all their scenes are all combative. There's no...
Right.
There's no loving moment between the two characters. He's always kind of on the fringe. He's stressed out.
Well, he's like neurotic. Yeah, it's weird.
You almost like you started the film too late. You need to kind of start just a little bit before this helicopter situation to just get a little bit of that heart of the characters in there.
You know, they always say you should start a scene after it starts and end it before it ends.
Yeah.
But to your point, like, maybe just a little too late on the start.
Yeah.
You know, maybe showing them accomplishing something on whatever their mission was.
Yeah.
To show a success.
Yeah. Before it all falls back down, or you...
Right.
They start them off on a high, then you bring them back down when they're dealing with these guys and everything's at each other's throats and stuff like that. It would endue the characters first, then you bring them back down and you kind of feel the struggle with them. Instead of just like...
Watching
everyone's just combative and it's not an engaging character inroad.
I wonder if there is a director's cut or an extended version that maybe expounds on some of this.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, me either, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, of course, since Romero's long past now.
She's not bad.
No, she's all right. It was one of the things that Romero kept averting her from being more of a softer character, or just trying to keep her hard the entire time. A hard-edged character with a hardened exterior throughout most of the entire film, instead of allowing her to kind of be a little bit more warm and open in some places. So maybe that, I can understand that when you're dealing with certain things, but I think it makes the characters harder to connect with.
Well, I don't really connect with any of them.
No, I don't.
And I don't know if that's because of the situation we just laid out, where it started too late, or they're just underdeveloped, or...
I feel they're a little underdeveloped. I mean, I can't really explain. If you told me to write out a character description for most of the people, I don't really have anything to really mark as their traits or their dynamics or where they're coming from. They just feel a little too plain.
And none of them really have an arc either.
No, that's the thing. So, well, the best you can say about most of these characters is that this guy has a Jamaican accent. This guy, I think he has an Irish accent. It's the only thing that makes them kind of distinguish between one another. I mean, messy goatee doctor guy is like, he's got nothing.
What a contrast. A year later, James Cameron would write Aliens.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in the commentary that he basically wrote everybody as a last name.
Yeah.
So that you could plug anybody into any role.
Kind of, yeah. The same thing they did with the first film in that franchise.
Right. And isn't it interesting how all of the characters in Aliens became very distinct personalities?
Yes.
And you cared about all of them.
Yeah. Even though I did feel like some of them were a little overblown in some places, or something that. Like Bill Paxton, he's a big character in the entire film. It doesn't feel quite as grounded as the ones in the first film, but at least he's still memorable, and you can still distinguish him amongst everyone else in that cast.
Right. Like, you can, when you just think of the movie Aliens, you can pick out 3 or 4 distinct personalities and remember what they did and didn't do. Unlike this movie, when you say, well, there was the crazy doctor, there was the crazy military guy, there was the guy with the accent, and there was the woman and the zombie who had feelings. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's all we got?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's not a whole lot more to say beyond that. They're very two-dimensional characters.
Not that I'm really trying to... Wow.
That's great.
Not that I'm really trying to compare this to the brilliance of Aliens.
But just showing a film that did a certain great job to make distinctive characters that had color, they had a little bit of dimension in some places, but at least they had distinctive performances and made sure every single one of them stood out to a certain degree.
And it was also a similar kind of group of characters that all were on the same mission or whatever. You know, granted, here there's conflict betwixt them. You could
say the same thing like Predator.
Sure.
All those characters are very big, but they're all very distinguished characters.
Right. And Predator was what, 87?
87.
I do enjoy the Doctor's affection for Bub.
Yeah.
It's not just a test subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's making progress, kind of, I guess. But you can see the joy in his face, which is nice. Really, I would say these two are, for me, the ones who have the most charisma.
Sure.
How's this? Bub didn't bite him.
Yeah.
the eyes, man.
Mm-hmm.
This guy
Yeah,
is acting.
Yeah.
The teeth look so good, don't they?
Yeah. I don't even know how you even audition for a role like this. It's just like you got to find someone who's just got the intangible.
Well, a scene like this might actually be a good audition scene.
Sure.
But also, to your point,
Yeah.
how are you going to do this with everybody?
Yeah.
You can't domesticate
Hundreds of thousands of these things up on the surface.
the majority of the remaining society.
And how long did it take him with this one zombie to do this?
Right.
Yeah. It's not pragmatic.
Why are they wearing hard hats?
Well, they were going through the tunnels and everything, so
I guess,
not
but
like they needed them before when they're going through them.
ooh, yum. At least it's not, rotted
Pig
meat.
innards.
Pig meat.
Yeah.
Like, that looks like barbecue chicken. All right, I'm down.
Some shrimp or something. Yeah.
I mean, that looks like me at the barbecue restaurant like 2 weeks ago. I was double-fisted it right in. Got shit all over me.
Big old bucket of it.
You got it. Never happier. Now I'm going to think of that every time I eat barbecue.
There we go.
Was that Nicotero's head
I'm
that
thinking
they used as a severed one, or was it the
I don't
other
know,
guy?
but they're at least feeding them the remains.
Because you remember there was that severed head.
Yeah, I don't
remember if it was him or the other guy.
I thought that was there
Oh, shit.
earlier. Yeah.
Oh, God, Sonny Corleone, look out.
James Caan biting it there. Goodman chomping on a cigar.
What a great character he is.
Yeah.
More like, and if he didn't look like John Goodman, if it was you in that role,
Sure, yeah.
Like, I don't know if it would hold up the same way.
I mean, I've never even seen Big Lebowski. All I'm seeing is just him in that role because it looks exactly like him from like 12 years later.
I feel like Big Lebowski is overrated, but maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
I just know that his character in that film was based on director John Milius.
That tracks.
Yeah, I can see that from the director of freaking Conan the Barbarian. Gun toting,
Yeah.
cigar chewing, loudmouth, son of a bitch.
And what's interesting, that guy is very kind of John Cazale, like Fredo.
Okay. Some Judas kiss going on.
He's kind of neurotic and subpar compared to everyone else in the scene.
Oh, yeah, well, that everyone could be Al Pacino. Or Robert Duvall or James Caan.
Or anybody, right. Yeah, but
no one else is Brando.
Johnny married or dated Meryl Streep, so I guess he won.
That's something.
Even though he was only in 5 pictures and then passed away. 4 of which were nominated for Best Picture, by the way. Or was it all 5? It might be all 5, actually. 3 of them won Best Picture. He's the greatest career of all time. 5 movies, 3 Best Pictures, all 5 nominated. Meryl Streep. Like,
okay, I feel if you're making this guy Jamaican, make him wear some Jamaican clothes, something like that. You just
give him a Rasta hairdo with the dreads.
I don't just make
Oh,
make
shit.
him feel a little ethnic. don't have to go stereotypical with it, but just something. Otherwise, he just looks like everyone else.
Right. He offers no
cultural identity.
Right, exactly. No cultural insight.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, this and that, which leads to this and that now.
Right. It just feels like it's trying to pick up a loose thread from Ken Foree in the last one. Because one was like his grandfather or something else like that was like a Haitian voodoo guy or something else like that. And that's
right.
Where the No More Room in Hell thing came from. I'll say Foree is way better performance than this guy is overall. Even without the accent, Foree just had a presence overall that felt really very memorable and very pleasing to an audience.
Why are there only ever like 9 of them in the tunnel?
Right.
And then when you put a living person in there, now all of a sudden there's 600. As much as I enjoy the remake of Dawn of the Dead that came out in 04-ish, I believe we're going to cover that as a commentary at some point.
Yeah, on the anniversary day.
Oh, okay.
Next March.
So, 20 years already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one is entertaining to me.
Okay.
I think this one probably could benefit the most from a remake.
I mean, I know they've done like pseudo sequels. I think there was like a remake, but I don't think they're worth talking about. I don't know much about them, but no one really talks about them at all anyway. They're just kind of cash grabs because someone just had the rights and decided to slap a name on something.
I don't know if maybe like the Walking Dead craze has outworn its welcome.
Siphoned all the juice off of it.
Right. Like, if another zombie movie comes out, like, we've had 20 years now of, like, straight-up zombie fandom.
Yeah.
And instead of it being a remake for the sake of improving a product, it would perhaps be looked at as bandwagoning. And, you know what I mean?
You'd have to find someone who has a passion for it. They have a really smart idea to go forward with it.
And I don't know if the general public is just over it. You know?
I mean, yeah,
the zombie trope.
There's been like 2 Walking Dead spin-offs at this point in time.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
So maybe it's not maybe we need more time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even though we're almost at 40 years for this one.
Yeah.
God, we're old. Oops. Look what I did. Harry Warden coming at us.
Yes.
Rock slide? There is something inherently scary about the dark.
Yeah.
So, but at this point, you know, an hour 15 in,
Yeah.
like, I kind of just don't care.
It feels like such a weird pivot. Because you spend the first hour of this thing is just really talky stuff. It's all character dynamics,
That's
going
wonderful.
back and forth, with fairly long scenes. And the
Look, that's awesome.
yeah.
Cut him in half at the jaw.
And then it's like, well, the undead stuff's been all this kind of like set dressing for everything that's really not really affected much. And now it just comes up to the special effects reel. It's like, it's all great effects, but it's like,
Special
I just
effects.
feel like I've seen it all already.
Special effects do not a story make.
Right.
There we go. They've got the red tip on them.
Oh.
Does that mean, like, this is a fake gun?
I've never seen that anything but that. I mean, usually it's on, like, the barrel or something else like that. Right on the tip of it.
Because if that's an oversight, you know, like the orange tip are on, like, the airsoft guns.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have just touched it up with, like, a marker or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that an accident?
Unusual,
Was that just a production fail, or
is
there actually a gun out there that looks like that?
Yeah, it's peculiar.
Fix the box. Like, to your point, if these two weren't behaving like this the entire movie, that scene
would actually have some impact.
Right.
All they've been doing is yelling the whole time. Meanwhile, he can play the scenes quieter to get that tension going.
Right.
He knows when to amp it up and when to bring it back down.
Well, Goodman's been doing it up and down.
A little bit, but
the other guy not so much.
Yeah, the Hispanic is just bouncing off the walls all the time. That's a nice splash of color. There's a little arrow on there.
I don't know if... Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if... Like, where are they going? How did they get down here? Wasn't there like an elevator or something?
Well, because they stuck up in the corral with the rest of the zombies.
Right, so now they're in the tunnel and not in the compound.
Right, they're trapped back here.
So there has to be an exit, because how did those zombies get in?
Yeah, everything's a little on the gray, vague side of things. And why would they give the zombies all this fucking space? It seemed like they gave the zombies more space than they gave themselves.
Right.
Oh. Was that Star David on the right?
Yeah.
That's a nice touch.
And they just figured out how to break through at this convenient moment?
Well, because the frickin' amputee guy's gone frickin' haywire.
Oh, I see.
For whatever reason.
There's probably some cameos in here from, like, family members and friends and...
Well, apparently, Romero wanted to get a lot of the same people that worked on Dawn, which was kind of weird since it was like 7, 8 years before this, but...
Right.
Apparently went through the same casting office and whatnot to kind of like bring a lot of the same people back, and here and there and everywhere, just people who are known to production, could do a good job on it, and apparently they gave him like a... they gave him like a hat and like a replica of like the Dead Walk newspaper they gave, and then they paid him $1.
Oh, really? There was a clown. There was a clown zombie, by the way.
Which, I don't know if this was a union production or whatnot, because I don't know how unions change whatnot over in terms of like how much you actually have to pay.
Well, right, there's a scale.
Yeah, there's a scale for certain things that industry standard.
I think you could do it for free easier than you could do it for $1. Yeah. Honestly, by like work standards.
Yeah.
You can volunteer yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're going to accept payment, it has to be like scale payment.
Yeah.
There's a bride and groom.
Yeah.
What are these weird gray hairs on the left? What is that about? There's a lot of gray hair in here. Yeah. There's a nursing home that... But that guy's young. I don't understand who those people were. Man, he's going to have a grabber just by the end of the movie here.
Football.
golfer, cowboy. How many other professions could we get in here? We got the goddamn village people, zombies.
Oh.
And it's interesting, you know, my memory is foggy on the plot here.
Sure.
But, like, obviously I remembered Rhodes going from tyrant to victim.
Yeah.
But all of it was really because Jamaica stole his guns.
Yeah.
Not because of his own, like, self-realization.
Yeah, no.
So, again, that makes another, like,
Non-arc.
check in the negative column.
Yeah.
And this is wonderful, him realizing
Yeah.
that his friend,
Yeah.
if you could call it that,
Yeah. I mean, it might be somewhat interesting because the doctor didn't get shot in the head; he got shot all in the torso. Shouldn't that still mean he gets reanimated?
correct.
But
no, because he didn't get bitten. He just died.
Okay, because
I don't think it's
yeah.
everybody that dies. I think
Okay.
it's the infection, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but what is that pink? There's some interesting characters here.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's got a cigar. That guy's got gloves and a apron on. He was cleaning the bathroom when he was bitten. See how everyone's like blue or gray or whatever? That's weird.
This is a great effect. You think it's just like, oh, he's hiding the rest of himself under a freaking fake torso or whatnot. Didn't realize
no.
It's all animatronic and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, that's a really great mark in the good column for.
Savini won a Saturn Award for his work on this film.
As he should have.
Yeah.
He's the star of the show.
Oh yeah.
But it took us,
A long old way.
75 minutes before, any of this happened.
Yeah.
And this is what people came to see.
Yeah.
I've never watched a trailer for this movie, but
I don't think I did either.
If I had to, oh my God, that's awesome. If I had to guess, I would say that more than 50% of the trailer would be
probably most of this third act.
Would be this in the third, yeah. Great shot.
He's boring through it, man.
Why waste the bullets? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows you have to shoot him in the head, right? Shoot the lock. Are you out of bullets, you dummy? He's got a fishing rod, that zombie. There you go. Work smarter, not harder. What is that dress?
Ballerina.
Yeah, I don't know. Some very interesting takes on
Zombie,
societal clothing.
Yeah.
They're all moving very fast.
They're lurching forward a lot quicker than they were in the last couple.
Although in the original one, I pointed, there's our clown.
There was no standard yet.
Right. So some were really moving and some were really not moving.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
I love that Bub has the gun.
Yeah.
Bub's the best character.
Yeah.
Great silhouette.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Great blood.
Yeah. It's not all fluorescent anymore.
Yeah, it's not
more
orange.
tamed back.
Right. It actually looks like real blood. More so, anyway.
Yeah.
They finally figured out that, Karo syrup formula.
Mixture, yeah.
Yep.
Nicely,
wow,
nicely done.
wow. That was really well done.
Uh-huh.
What a fun job we have just breaking down, watching him work. How awesome would that have been to be on set for that? Jesus, lady.
Where the hell did they get all these guns from?
I don't remember.
I mean, Jamaican was just running around with the pistols.
The 2 pistols, right. Which he still has. And all of a sudden, he's like British or something.
Yeah, I don't know. What accent he's dipping into throughout the whole film.
Oof.
He handles the gun nicely.
Yeah.
He's got good form on it.
I'm sure, any time that there's guns on a set, there's, an armorer who, can give you tips on how to...
Yeah. But it seems like he's very comfortable with it. Like he's probably been in a few roles before on something.
Why would you drop the gun? Or was it out of bullets?
I don't know.
This is kind of a cool shot.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, like, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Almost on the nose, but...
Yeah.
There's that ricochet noise that I fucking hate. Oh, there's the bullets way over there. Way over there. I can't imagine.
Nice sell the arm.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like to be shot. You fuck. It's a good ending to this this story.
Yeah.
It's kind of everything you want, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things like that. The ending's way better, way stronger than the rest of the film has.
And maybe that's why people like it. Like, they get that recency effect.
Yeah.
When it's over, they went, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
And by that was fun, they mean the last 20 minutes.
Sure, maybe.
What's on his foot there? Is that a knife?
I'm guessing so.
Whoops. Looked like Alice Cooper. The one on the right there.
So with the helmet, a couple of helmets going on. There we go.
This is the best. The salute.
The fuck you.
Yeah, so good.
Give him the Oscar.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow. Look at that. It looks like a whole chicken. Choke on him is good. You'd be a good bub, like as a Halloween costume or something.
Yeah.
What is that yellow pants guy in a hat? That's weird. Look at this. Oh my God. Again, me at the barbecue restaurant.
Some sausages in there.
Oh. Yeah, just two-fisted ribs right in.
Oh, there you go. You gotta get messy.
Yep. Yeah, this is really like overtime, right?
Yeah.
How much can we just go?
Yeah.
Turn it to 11.
I'm trying to think. MPA 85. I don't know. I don't think they get away with all of it.
No, I don't either.
No.
Obviously, it got worse.
88 or so.
Right,
It got
like
really thin.
every year it got worse and worse and more restrictive. So, but still, I don't think that in 85 it would have been
quite as aggressive.
Right. But even that was excessive. Like,
yeah.
Sitting here today, I'm like, ooh, I wonder if you can get away with that. There's a line of people that are conveniently walking to the helicopter right now. You know, it would have been better, I think, had they just been kind of scattered and not marching you know, in
scatter across the entire area there.
Right. So that part was a dream.
Yeah, so we're just jumping forward to the happy ending, which I don't know.
They've done this now. I will say they're consistent. The opening scene, the middle scene, and now the ending scene of her using a dream as a way to progress.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, at least he was consistent with that. Beginning, middle, and end.
I'm just feeling more like, does a happy ending really fit here? I don't know. It feels totally disconnected for me.
Yeah. And also, did all of that only take place over the course of like one day? Couple days?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so.
I mean, there's, I know in trivia segments and whatnot, they say, Romero said, I don't think they survive the Highland or something else like that. They've get turned or whatnot. So, I don't know, it just feels kind of it's been such a bleak film. To just like at the end.
It was a very stark contrast at the end. Yeah, it just
feels off. It feels more like you can leave with a little bit of hope, but it feels like it's too stark of a contrast. It feels like they should, because Dawn had the two different things. One, they originally had the original ending where everyone died.
Right.
But then they kind of tipped it over as, okay, well, at least let these two go off, where there's still swarms of them, but they feel like there's at least a sliver of hope that they can maybe find something.
You know what would have been the perfect touch to make that believable?
Yeah.
A nice Jamaican flag in the background?
Yes.
That he flew them back to Jamaica,
something
where there's no zombies.
Yeah,
like that's a perfect ending.
Would have been something.
It would have brought assistant Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero, love it. Howard Berger, special makeup.
Yep.
Berger went on to do one of the Freddies, didn't he? Or no?
I think maybe.
Like in 4, maybe.
Probably around that
88?
time, because I think it was after Evil Dead 2 and 87 that the three of them got together and formed KMB, because they started working like Halloween 5 and a few things.
Yeah, I want to say Berger did Freddy's makeup in like 4.
That sounds about right.
Anyway.
Not like there wasn't anyone who didn't work on that film.
Right, I know. So, yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, but
John Williams. Production assistant John Williams.
Well, at that point, I feel like you need a middle initial or something.
Yeah, John A. Williams.
Right. Did I read somewhere on, was it like Wikipedia or something, that he thought this was his, like, Gone with the Wind?
Well, he wanted it to be before he had to scale the thing back. Apparently his idea was more towards Land of the Dead. That size of it. That style, pretty much that approach to the idea, and that size of the idea. But because he had to chop the budget in half because he wouldn't scale back on the gore, believing he would have to cut back too much on the gore to appease the rating and stuff like that. He's like, okay, we're not going to invest that much if we're going to go that far off and just bypass MPAA. We're not going to put $7 million into this,
right?
And hope we earn back $20 million at the box office.
It would not have. No. I don't think that adding more would pay off. Return on investment would not be there.
No.
You know, do I think it could have been higher with a little more time and effort? Yes, but I don't think they would have ever gotten to that 20 point whatever million.
Yeah.
So well,
yeah. So let us know what you feel about the whole thing, guys, and we'll be back next year talking about a couple of the remakes in the franchise with the
we're just going to go
again with the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Right, we're going to go chronological. So
release date order. So we'll get onto that, and then we'll get the Dawn around the 20th anniversary date. So, guys, thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.